and the Ad Council.
Gather round. This is the Ticket Water Cooler, brought to you by Wingstop.
This is what the greatest thing about sports is. You play to win the game.
Coming at you live in the heart of Lincoln, America.
I said, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
On air and online at theticketfm.com. Here are your hosts, Jake Bakoven and Enrique Alvarez Clary.
Happy Monday, happy game week to everybody out there. We've all made it. We're excited. The guys are landing in Ireland, and well, there we go. Yeah, they're just landing in Ireland. Got a nice little dance going there. That's what it sounds like, as that's all the music they play over there.
Is that you just hear it in the air? Like,
Yeah.
Is it just constantly playing just throughout the entire place?
I don't know.
All of Ireland, that's all you hear.
I was reading about the stadium. Apparently, there's no parking lot around the stadium, so you got to like walk by all these pubs to get there. And I was reading like the best place to park is like 45 minutes away from the stadium, and then just walk through like Pubville, I guess, to get to the stadium.
Perfect. Just
Yeah,
get a bike
I like it.
and just kind of pedal your way there or something. I don't know.
It's just a little different than
You just get a couple drinks on your way there. That's all it
Yeah.
is. You stop in the pub, you get a drink. You go to the next pub, you get a drink. You just keep going.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it. I think that would be fun. It's certainly different though. It's not like tailgating right outside the stadium. So we'll see kind of how that goes. But I'm sure you can get
Tailgating in the
buzzed
pubs.
up.
Duh.
Yeah, that doesn't sound too bad. So we got plenty to break down to you this week here on the Ticket Water Cooler. We'll try to figure out if some of these guys are going to do better than their stats last year. We'll give us our best chance at that here in a second. But first, I want to get to some of the news of the day. No surprise, Panthers named Baker Mayfield the starting quarterback.
Not surprised at all. Revenge game for Baker Mayfield, and he is better than Sam Darnold. So, again, not really surprised. It was just a matter of time before the Panthers finally decided to break the news to Sam Darnold.
Yeah, and I mean that's what the trade was made for, obviously, but it was just like a conditional 5th round draft pick or something like that.
Yeah, which
so it didn't mean that necessarily they had to stick to Baker, but Sam's just not the guy that was not gonna.
Sam Darnold has not lived up to what people thought he was going to be out of USC.
Yeah, and for Matt Rule, he's third-year NFL coach, third-year new starting quarterback. So we'll see if they can get it done.
Figure it out, Matt. You might end up back at college football.
Well, that's fine with me. I'd like to see that, but he wouldn't. He has to keep that
I
job.
think the money might be better in the NFL.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
At least at his level, probably. And some other news. How about this? Hooters has signed 51 offensive linemen to NIL deals. None at Nebraska, unfortunately.
Wow,
maybe we
good
need
for
more
them.
of a Hooters presence around here.
I don't know the dynamics of Hooters, but good for them.
You do too.
I don't know. Like I've
before?
never been to a Hooters.
Neither
no.
have I.
I don't know the
actually.
dynamics of like signing an offensive lineman and what the process was to go through. Like what offensive linemen get to sign a NIL deal with Hooters and which offensive linemen don't. So
Yeah, I don't know why they have guys from
Is it-
Auburn, LSU, mostly the SEC, I suppose. Florida
yeah.
Atlantic's in there, mostly the South, Georgia Tech. So.
just some guys who enjoy wings, right? That's what it is.
That's right.
Yep.
And Hooters, like you said, we've never been there, but I know they don't have better food than Wingstop, which
Nope.
sponsors us here on the Ticket Water Cooler. I think that's about all. Well, there was also the preseason All-American team, so we can kind of run through that. The AP preseason All-American team.
Do you want me to just break the news to everybody? There's no Nebraska players on there.
Really?
Sorry about it. None.
That's
2 teams,
ridiculous.
no Nebraska players. 2 Northwestern players, though.
Is it really?
I believe so. They're offensive.
Skoronsky,
Their left
no
tackle's
surprise there.
first team, and I believe maybe not. No, one. So just Skoronsky, but their former safety.
Oh, yeah.
He's second team safety for
Yeah.
Notre Dame.
And that makes sense. He was, I think he played last year, just didn't stand out. But 2 years ago,
Brandon Joseph.
he was very solid. Yeah. Which everybody's praising Casey Thompson for what he didn't know Brandon Joseph's name.
Brandon Newsom. That's what he thought.
Yeah,
he
he
thought his
thought it was
last name was Newsom.
I think they've had a Newsom. as
He
well.
was a corner. He was
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah. So that's where he probably got confused.
What
there.
film are you looking at then? No, I'm kidding.
That's what I said on the last show. If the one thing he gets wrong in that whole clip is the guy that left Northwestern, I think that's still fine.
I think he's doing pretty good.
But did you look at the whole teams?
Yes.
Yeah. So
And
it
not
can't
really
surprise you.
a surprise at all.
Yeah.
Xavier Worthy, second team wide receiver,
Interesting.
but looking at the first team wide receivers, again, not really surprising at all.
Yeah.
Bryce Young, first-team quarterback. C.J. Stroud, second-team quarterback. The running backs for the first team, 2 sophomores, Bijan Robinson and Travion Henderson.
Bijan Robinson's not a sophomore anymore, is he?
Well, wasn't he a freshman last year?
He's a junior. No, it was.
Was he like a redshirt freshman?
No,
What is it? Well, everybody's freaking out. He was so young.
He was young 2 years ago, and he was good, and then he was good last year.
Okay, I've been getting it wrong for so long.
Yeah.
Whatever. He's a junior then.
Well, Travion Henderson is a sophomore.
He is a sophomore.
Paris Johnson, by the way, another tackle from Ohio State in that first team. So
2 Big Ten tackles.
Oh yeah. They also have Jackson Smith and Jigba on the first team. Jordan Addison, of course, a transfer from Pitt over to South Carolina or USC is over there. Deuce Vaughn, Adrian Martinez,
the all-purpose first team
player.
guy, not a running back, all-purpose, which makes sense.
And don't forget Jake Moody, the senior kicker at Michigan.
There we
year.
go.
Lou Groza kicker of the year. So,
yeah.
A
lot of Big Ten flavor on that first team.
Oh, I like to see it. All this, Jack Campbell of Iowa, even on the linebacker core, gets on there.
Yep. Wisconsin's linebackers second team. I don't remember his name.
Oh, yeah. Like the leading sack returner for the Big Ten, Nick Herbig.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's a pretty interesting team.
Nobody from Purdue.
Riley Moss there on Iowa. Yeah. George Karlaftis has been looking good in the Chiefs camp.
Has he?
I think he's.
I have not been paying attention.
Yeah, I think he had 2 sacks on Saturday.
Look at him.
He's
good pickup for them.
I think he's going to be really good. I always thought that in fact, here's my bold prediction. He has a better NFL career than Aiden Hutchinson.
That is a really bold prediction.
I thought that and it's based on a small sample size of watching those guys play Nebraska. I thought he gave Nebraska's line more fits than Hutchinson did.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Hutchinson was damn near non-existent until that final drive.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see. I've always really liked George Karlaftis. We'll see there. Riley Moss, of course, Iowa's a defensive back. He's in that first team as well. Like you said, no Nebraska people. No surprise there. Braylon Allen, the Wisconsin running back, second team. Like I said earlier with Ohio State, Dwan Jones is the other tackle. So they've got 2 tackles on the first 2 teams.
3 of the 4 running backs for the first and second team are Big Ten running backs. Right? No, 2. 2 of the 4. Yeah, shout out to the Big Ten.
Yeah, because Sean Tucker at Syracuse is the other one in there. So,
which I have not been paying attention to ACC, especially Syracuse football, but that one caught me off guard.
Yeah, it's bad teams have good players too. We've seen that.
I'm not. Peter Skoronski is a first team tackle.
Right.
Northwestern's not a good team, but I was not prepared to see Syracuse on first or second team for football. that one got me.
How are we going to grade it? If O'Shawn Mathis reportedly has been staying on his side, we'll see if he lines up with Skoronski. That's a heck of a battle. I think it's interesting that
Garrett Nelson talked about it.
Did he?
Yeah, it's in the captain folder. He talked about the challenge and the test of going up against one of, if not the best tackle in all of college football. Definitely probably the best tackle in all of the Big Ten. Skoronski's. So it'll be really interesting to see if they switch it up, if they have Garrett Nelson go up against him, if they switch O'Shawn Mathis onto that side, if they're switching sides, try to keep Skoronski on his toes, because I don't know the differences in their rush techniques, but I would believe that they are different pass rushers, Garrett Nelson and O'Shawn Mathis.
Oh, yeah, and I think they were saying that O'Shawn's going to kind of stay on his side. They might move Garrett and
Caleb Tanner around.
Caleb
Tanner's definitely a power rusher.
Yeah,
like he'll get into Skoronski's chest and try to push him back. I don't know who wins that battle, but it would be very interesting to see.
Here is Garrett Nelson. By the way, if you missed it, Scott Frostel, a few different guys showed up on the podium yesterday. A little bit different this week, obviously, flying out to Ireland. So it was weird just for them to do that on a Sunday altogether, but they did. And here is Garrett Nelson talking about going up against that now first team preseason All-American in the AP, Peter Skoronski at Northwestern.
That's why you play in this league. In the Big Ten, every week you're going to have the best offensive lineman in the country you're going against. And, I've always been talking about how much I've improved my pass rush. And like you said, this is probably the great test right out the gate. So, that's definitely, but it's been on my mind for a while, if you want to be honest. I'm really excited because obviously, like I said, that's why you're in this league, to rush against those best guys. But I'm really excited for the opportunity. And
you study him a lot.
Yeah. No, he great player. Really excited to go against him.
I'm excited to see that matchup. I think, and then the other part of that too is, I think if you ask most people, who's going to be Nebraska's sack artist? You kind of think O'Shawn Mathis. That's what they brought him in for. Garrett Nelson had more sacks last year.
That is true. But O'Shawn Mathis was also getting triple teamed.
Right. I mean,
because TCU had nobody else.
Well, he had his 9 sacks the prior year. So I mean, they had a lot of attention on him.
But I do see where you're going with it. I'm not trying to downplay Garrett Nelson's efforts last year. But it is, as he said, it's going to be a great test off the bat, just off rip, just going against probably the best tackle you're going to face all season. Right out of the gate, a great way to test what you've learned in the offseason, and also a great gauge onto what else you need to improve upon as the season progresses. Because look, I don't know about the other left tackles on the other teams that Nebraska is going to face, but I feel pretty confident in saying this is going to be the best left tackle they face. Garrett Nelson is going to face all season.
Right.
So if he
they play Ohio State in the Big Ten championship.
Well, then he'll face the second best tackle.
That's right. He still could be better.
But it would be great to see how Garrett Nelson responds to, trying to get past Skoronski and what adjustments he makes, not only in game, but for the rest of the season. Because look, if he gets stuffed every time and can't quite get to the quarterback, I mean, it's not going to be, great for him, but it's a learning experience. You can use that to improve upon whatever wasn't going right for you, because like I said, you're not going to face many people better than him.
Yeah, and I'm also interested, too, in the quarterback that they run out there. Ryan Helinski was kind of started a few games last year. They were kind of musical chairs there. They had 3 different starters. Brendan Sullivan, kind of the dual threat redshirt freshman, hasn't had a look at college football yet. But just from what I was kind of hearing about out of camp there, it sounds about even, right? I mean, it sounds like at some point you expect Brendan Sullivan probably to take that job. Why wait if you're Coach Fitzgerald, unless he's kind of an old school coach. We've seen this before. I think even in that Northwestern room, you start with what, the guy with a little bit of experience. And then even if it's 2 quarters deep, you might make that switch.
I mean, it would be, like you said, just kind of throw, if you believe he's going to be the future, you kind of throw him in there. But also at the same time, if you think he's going to be the future, don't just throw him to the wolves. Let him sit back and kind of take in the college environment that he's going to experience, especially like, you throw him to the wolves over in Ireland, and if this Nebraska defense is all it's chalked up to be, and you throw him out there to get destroyed by a Garrett Nelson and O'Shawn Mathis, a Devin Drew, a Caleb Tanner, if he's throwing interceptions against this hopefully really good secondary, that could just destroy his confidence, going into the rest of his college career. So if you can have him sit for a while and just kind of get acclimated to the college game, maybe don't throw him to the wolves immediately, but at some point this season, you probably expect him to get on the field.
Yeah, and he's a redshirt freshman for what it's worth, not just a true freshman. So at least he's kind of sat around. He's at least, it's not being completely everything new to him. But we'll kind of see. I think that could be an X factor for this game if he does start, just because. Well, Nebraska struggled with dual threat quarterbacks in the past, but that's not just a Nebraska thing. That's an extra element the defensive coordinator usually has to worry about.
Running quarterbacks, not great.
Yeah. I like running quarterbacks myself, but
I like when running quarterbacks are on the team that I'm rooting for.
Right.
But I hate when running quarterbacks are facing the team that I'm rooting for.
Then you defend them perfectly, and they still take off and get the first down.
You're just like, all right, everybody's covered downfield. What are you going to do? And then they take off for 20 yards. And you're like, well, I guess that was what you were going to do.
So we'll see. I can't wait. Evan Hull, Cam Porter, those guys up front on the as far as running back goes, that's where it's going to be Northwestern. They're going to have to try to, obviously, as opposed to last year, keep the game on pace. They can't fall behind so quickly because they started slinging the ball around. That's not their bread and butter at all. Going over to Ireland and all that, I wonder how quickly they would come off that game plan even if they start, the defense gives up. Similar thing to last year. If the blowouts start happening, you might. I wonder if they just stick to the game plan, because they saw what happened last year. If you go off script at that point.
Well, even if somehow, hopefully, it ends up looking like it did last year for Northwestern, I would say that you stick with your game plan, because I mean, if you're just trying to get things that you've worked on, get things that you quote unquote know work, you might want to stick with that as opposed to just switching things up. I mean, if you're getting blown out already and you're just trying to switch it up just to, try to come back? Why not just stick with what you were doing and try to improve on what you've been working on? I mean, but that's just my thought. I don't know. I'm not Pat Fitzgerald. I couldn't tell you exactly what they're going to go with if they start getting down. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect to see Northwestern start slinging it around the yard if they go down by 4 touchdowns early. I would expect them to kind of do what works or what they've been working on, which is running the ball probably, and then throw some passes in there to attempt to come back.
Well, it's just a different point in the season too. I mean, when you played them last year, it was mid-season, whenever you wanted to kind of get, this first game at this point, even if you're down a lot, I think you still want to find that identity, try to start something to build upon as the season goes, and as they move forward past game 1. So I think there'll be less of a tendency to just get out of that if things go well, which we hope so.
Yeah.
First 3 possessions, 3 touchdowns for Nebraska. We're all going to be partying and having fun.
That would be fun.
And that'd be quite a way to get the year started for Nebraska. Let's take a quick break here on it's game week here. The guys are landing out in Ireland. We're going to take a quick break here and then be back with the Ticket Water Cooler on 93.7 The Ticket.
Did you know that the U.S. has added over 1,100 new breweries in the last 18 months? Learn more by shopping at Myers Cork and Bottle, 13th and South, and by tuning in to Thirsty Thursdays with Kevin Myers, because sports are better with a drink in your hand and a friend at your side. When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club or space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? No, forget that. How about a margarita club? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge and join the best club in town. 10 flavors of margaritas like Maui Wowie, burnt pineapple, and mango tango. Try all 10 of them and receive your own souvenir margarita glass. Make it your new Monday night tradition. $4 margaritas and $4 taco baskets. Grab the crew and head on over Monday nights or any night. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake. Not headed to Dublin to watch the Nebraska football season opener? Don't worry, we've got you covered. You can tailgate and watch the game right here. Join 93.7 The Ticket, Ambition Electric, and Steve's Garage Doors here in our parking lot for a tailgate and watch party. Joe from Ambition Electric will be serving breakfast and lunch while our hosts get you ready for the game with the Ticket Tailgate pregame show. And best of all, it's all free. The Nebraska Northwestern Tailgate and Watch Party. August 27th, beginning at 9 a.m. right here in our parking lot at 330 North 48th Street. Brought to you by Ambition Electric and Steve's Garage Doors.
Shopping for new flooring is different today. Getting your questions answered, making the right selection, getting the best value, and installed quickly and professionally. Visit ostreetcarpet.com or shop our store. We'll answer all your questions and help you make the right choice. You'll be enjoying your new floor in just days for less than you'd pay elsewhere. Carpet, vinyl, wood, laminate, tile, and area rugs. We've got it all.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now they've raised wages again and they're hiring for production operators at $22.58 per hour. And other select jobs is starting at $24.28 per hour, with wages growing up to $30.30 per hour. Continental also has salaried jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates. To learn more or to apply, go to continental-jobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today. It's time to kick off the Nebraska high school football season. Hey guys, it's Nick Sainert, and join me for a Thursday night matchup as the Lincoln East Spartans host the Kearney Bearcats at 7 p.m. Then Friday, join DP and myself for a doubleheader. We kick things off at 4:30 with Lincoln Southeast taking on Elkhorn South, and the nightcap featuring the Lincoln High Lynx and the Lincoln Southwest Silverhawks around 8 p.m. That's this Thursday and Friday on 93.7 The Ticket, your home for high school football.
High school football is sponsored by Southeast Community College, Members-Owned Credit Union, Union Bank and Trust, Mosaic of Southeast Nebraska, Nebraska DOT Highway Safety Office, and Gaina Trucking.
Mike Shaver here for Trek CBD. Summer is here, and that means you're having garage parties with neighbors, hitting the golf course and the pool. The drink of this summer isn't your typical seltzer. It's drinkable Delta 8. Yep, Trek CBD has drinkable Delta 8 seltzers with mango and lime flavors for 4-packs, 12-packs, coming in a variety of mango, watermelon, lime, and berry. They also have hemp-derived Delta 9 syrups to put in your beverages, and as always, the excellent Delta 8 gummies. Trek CBD at 84th and Andermatt and TrekCBD.com. Trek CBD, CBD done right.
Finally, a good reason to have a smart house. Just say, Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket, and we'll magically start playing. How's it work? Nobody knows. Don't ask questions.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Back to the Ticket Water Cooler, brought to you by Wingstop on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are back here on the Ticket Water Cooler. It's game week in Lincoln, Nebraska. Of course, the game will be played in Dublin, but that doesn't chance us and our approach to it as we are dancing in studio, getting excited for the Huskers and the Wildcats. Finally, I think this is going to be the game where Scott Frost goes over 500 against another Big Ten West coach. So that'll be exciting. That's a good way to kick off the year for Nebraska.
Would this be 2-0 against the same quarterback?
It would be the first time he would beat the same quarterback twice if Ryan Helinski starts. Yeah.
Nice.
I don't know if that's nice.
Breaking streaks, baby.
Yeah, it's the start of This is
Let's
the revenge
set it up.
tour, streak breaker. This year is going to be
First
special.
time beating a starting quarterback 2 times. First 3-game win streak. It's going to be great. Let's do it. Woo!
Revenge tour. I want to get one of those shirts, like a what is that? A concert shirt?
Yeah.
Where he's got all the locations. Just check off all the revenge.
Check.
Because they need a few of them this year.
Let's get it.
Not necessarily Northwest.
I'm reaching the point in the season that I always reach, and I send it in our group chat on Twitter.
Yeah.
I'm reaching the point that I always reach before the season where I'm like, look, man, this Nebraska team looks pretty good. I don't know. I'm sticking with my 8 out there, but man, feeling good. I don't know why. There's absolutely no reason.
You're flirting with double digits.
I'm flirting with 10.
You can talk your way into winning any of those games, obviously.
I can talk my way into I cannot talk my way into undefeated. I can't do that. I can talk my way into 10. I can also talk myself down to 5. So, I'm on both sides.
Yeah, that goes that way. Let's do this. Let's look at some stats from last year and see if Nebraska, these individual players will top those stats. I thought that'd be kind of a fun thing to do as we get into the season here. Let's start with Casey Thompson. Now, obviously, his numbers as far as passing yardage, 2,113. You'd expect him to get more than that.
Oh, yeah.
So let's go with Adrian's yardage total there, 2,863. Do you think Casey's going to be flirting with 3,000 above?
Total
3,
yards or just passing?
This is just passing.
Just passing over.
I believe so too. How about over?
And give us your thoughts. 402-464-5685 Honda Lincoln Hotline, Starter Heyman text line on these stats if you're thinking over under for this upcoming season.
Yeah. Casey had 24 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. You getting the over on both of those?
Well, if he's over, 2,500 passing yards, I would expect around 25, maybe more touchdowns. And if anything, if what he said about his practices are true, where they had around 18 practices and he had 4 or 5 interceptions, I would go with under the 9.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I think with that offensive line, we might see a few interceptions this year. I think
Maybe.
I might go over that a little bit.
I feel as if,
but not too much.
I feel as if, and this is no shade to Adrian, but I feel as if Casey is more observant and he'll probably throw the ball away more often than
he's a better quarterback. Like he's a better passer.
I don't think he'll force too much. I think if it's not there, he'll throw it away or maybe just take the sack, just eat it.
Well,
we'll see.
I mean, Adrian, for what it's worth, had 10 last year. Casey had 9 in less playing time.
Yeah.
So he might throw a pick or two. Don't get And Whipple has said this. He really pays attention to how people react to throwing an interception.
Yep.
It's fine. I mean, this is football. It happens. Don't compound that mistake. And I think that's something that Adrian did often. He's looking for his quarterbacks, in particular Casey Thompson, to shake it off and not be afraid to go out there and make that pass. And I think Casey's gonna kind of have the attitude that he can fit it in where he needs to. So I think, and sometimes that leads to taking some danger. So I'm not down. I'm not trying to be a downer, but I'm not just going to say I over on everything. I think interceptions, I look around that number 9, 10, 11 for Casey this year, but I do think that he might be right there. I mean, he might break the record at Nebraska. I think it's 26 passing touchdowns.
Really?
In a year. I
think, over. Yeah,
Zach Taylor's
definitely.
got that one.
Definitely.
So that'll be record.
If the Mark Whipple offense comes true, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Let's go this one. It's kind of interesting. Ramir Johnson, 495 rushing yards, 197 receiving. So we'll just round those up. Do you think that Ramir Johnson will have over 700 yards total this year?
No.
No.
I think he has more receiving yards than he did last year.
Okay.
I don't see his running numbers being as high because I don't see, like, he's top 3, but I see, the top 2 running backs taking most of the carries. And for me, that's Anthony Grant and Gabe Ervin.
Yeah. It feels like Ramir is going to be getting like 4 or 5 carries a game.
Yeah. He's going to be used in the receiving game a lot more. And I can see his receiving numbers going up, but the rushing numbers, I would be surprised if he goes over 400 rushing yards.
Yeah, I would be too. Jaquez Yant, 294 yards rushing last year. Where do you see him in this battle?
I don't know.
About the same.
About there. I would say, what was it?
294 yards.
I would say under.
Yeah.
Maybe like 300, like barely over. But I don't see him cracking that number.
Yeah, I think right now, as we've read it coming out of camp, is Anthony Grant, Gabe Ervin seem the top 2 backs, and it's nice to have depth. It's not that he couldn't. If they didn't have those guys there, I could.
Well, they have all
see him going.
They were saying what 6 running, like all 6 running back. They're even considering using the freshmen as well.
Yeah,
like
AJ
they're all kind of in the mix. So it's going to be hard to see, one person outside of those top 2 in Grant and Ervin going over 500 yards,
right?
Because those 2 are going to get a bulk of the carries. You're going to see the other ones in the games more than likely, but those 2 are probably going to get the bulk of the carries. And I would say, again, in my mind, that Anthony Grant is going to be your lead dog in that running back room.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see that because it's all kind of speculation and obviously what you hear from camp, and so it's not based off of nothing. But I think that they're kind of in the same boat. Like, we need to see game reps. We need somebody to take this spot over, because they're talking about having a 1A and 1B and 1C, and that's nice and all. You want somebody that you want a weapon. You don't want it's great going because Northwestern has to prepare for 4 different backs and different stuff. No, you want them to go, oh crap, Braylon Allen's walking in the room.
Like, this is the guy we have to stop, and you still can't stop him.
And because that's exactly what it is. I mean, it's like the Wisconsin game last year, where it's like you knew going into that game, you just got to stop Braylon Allen.
You got the 17-year-old freight train coming through, and you got to find a way to stop him.
And
you still could.
Most teams can't.
No, you still
goes over 200 yards against Nebraska last year. You want that type of back, and I hope Nebraska has it. I'm not sure if they do. I know there's a lot of people wanted to, make their bold predictions and stuff. Between both those guys, I want to see it.
I mean, to me, if you don't have that one guy, if you have 2, like if anything over 2 is too much, but if you have 2 guys who are 1A, 1B, I'm good with that. A little thunder, a little lightning, something like that.
Yeah.
That's fine. You've seen it work in other places before. You saw it work in Michigan last year. The Carolina Panthers for the longest time had that working with thunder. And like, you can make it work with 2 backs, but once you go to a 3rd and a 4th, I think that's too much because you can get 2 rolling pretty easily where you can swap them in and out and nobody's really losing that much momentum. But once you switch to a 3rd one and you're trying to get somebody in off the bench who's probably been sitting a while, it's going to throw things off.
And it's an interesting conversation with running back because that room's been mismanaged since Scott Frost has been here, whether it's not finding the starter out of the gate. They've already had 2, I know Anthony Grant's the number 1 JUCO running back coming in. They've already done that twice.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen. There we got the
captain
happening
right now.
shown back at the room dancing. I don't know why he's dancing, but he's dancing.
He's exercising. All right. Just going to keep going.
He's doing this exercise.
Just going to ignore
see
him.
that on the Starter Haven video Drew's video stream. That's all he's got. That's all he was
all right, bye.
There he goes. So I find that fascinating, though. And I'm worried a little bit, like, these first few games, especially, you might see more rotation. You might try to figure out who those guys are, give everybody a chance. But once you get in the thick of Big Ten season, I don't want to see your leading rusher have 13 carries anymore.
No.
And that's what it's a lot of Scott Frost's tenure has kind of been peppering this guy, peppering that guy. Nobody gets on a roll. And maybe,
and even if somebody does start getting on a roll, you see him get swapped out for some reason that nobody knows.
And almost just, I mean, Marquis Stepp had the most random Nebraska career I've ever seen. Where I'll
scores the first touchdown of the season, and you never see him again.
I mean, he ran for 100 against Fordham. You thought maybe there's something there. You don't see him at all the rest of the season until he's a pass protection back in the final drive against Iowa. Just so obscure, so strange. But in any case, I want to see them allow these guys to get on a roll. So, like we said, as we broke it down there, I expect the Gabe Irvin, Anthony Grant probably to be those guys. But if not, I don't think that like it's not going to be within Ramir if they need him to move back to that position, or that Yant hasn't taken some strides forward. Obviously, he was took care of Northwestern pretty well. I mean, he had a great game against Northwestern. We saw in some of the other games maybe wasn't quite there on the playbook or ready for every different set that was going to be thrown his way. You hope that he's advanced in that manner. And I think if you give him the carries, he could be a 600-700 yard season total type of guy. But
Yant seems like a guy who just needs to get rolling. It's one of those things where he might start off slow, but if you just keep handing him the rock, after a while, people are going to get tired of trying to tackle the big body, and he'll start to break some. That's just kind of the type of running back I see when I look at Jacquez Yant. But like you said, after those top two in Grant and Urban, there might be a drop off, but I still feel comfortable, at least, sitting here in this chair today without any games and just hearing what I've heard from coaches and from players coming from camp and from practices. I feel pretty comfortable with just about any other running back in that room taking carries for this Nebraska football team. So do with that information what you will. It's not really much. It's just my feelings about it. But if you don't have Anthony Grant, if you don't have Gabe Irvin, and you have to go back to Ramir Johnson, you saw what he offered you last year, and it was pretty solid. You have to go to Jacquez Yant. You saw what he offered in 2.5 games, and it was pretty good. Or if you have to go to some of those talented freshmen or some of the other guys, I feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, let's move on with our numbers here. Here's an interesting one. How about Omar Manning? 380 total receiving yards last year. Do you think he tops that? I'm kind of reading the room lately. I don't know if Omar is starting.
He's been mentioned quite a bit by not only Mickey Joseph, but Scott Frost as one of the guys who's been pretty consistent coming out of practice. He's been there. He's shown up. He's been really good on the field. So even if he doesn't start, I expect him to see a lion's share of the wide receiver snaps. And again, with how good he is, how talented he seems to be, and just the way that he looks, I expect him to be over 300 receiving yards this season. And again, with the amount of passes we're expecting this team to be throwing, the amount of times that this team is going to be throwing, I mean, you're going to mix it up. You might have that one go-to guy, but you're going to have a lot of people getting catches. So I expect him to be one of those guys that is over his 300 yards receiving last year.
Yeah, well, 380. I think that makes it
400.
That actually makes it interesting.
I can see it. Yeah, come on.
I think you're in that.
That's one
neighborhood.
big reception.
How about Marcus Washington last year for Texas? 277 yards. I think he clears that pretty well.
Casey Thompson was talking about him the other day about how much he's improved from their time at Texas. What was his yards? 277. Over. I don't want to take the over on everything. I haven't on everything, but over on that. The receivers and the passing, it's just you've seen what Mark Whipple can do. So it's hard to take the under on really anything that involves passing. Like, it's just, especially with the lack of passing efficiency last year, you expect it to take a pretty big uptick in production. So I'm going to say over with that as well.
How about this? I'm not going to throw Trey Palmer's numbers out there because obviously expect him to take a big leap forward with this offense. But how about, is anybody going to top 898 from Samori Toure? I think that's you think Palmer's probably the leader of that group. That's a lot of yards, though.
I don't think so.
I think that's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, I mean, if anybody, it would be Trey, but I don't see. I see him, getting up there, but that's a 1,000-yard receiver, of which Nebraska as a university has only had one. So yeah, that'll be hard to top. But Yeah, no, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, it's
No,
kind of
not
too.
gonna
It's too bad Samari didn't have one more year to stick around for this.
That would have been
offense, I think.
nice.
Yeah, that would have been. We're gonna take a quick break. We'll wrap things up for the Ticket Water Cooler, making way for the happy hour coming up next year on the Ticket on 93.7 The Ticket.
From selling a home to even building one, you're doing a lot and need a lender who can help you do it. Like Elizabeth Rizak of Security First Bank.
With over 25 years of experience as a mortgage loan officer, I take pride in helping borrowers find the right loan for their next home.
Mortgage lending from Security First Bank. We're the bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 505011 and 483558.
Landmark Implement, your local John Deere dealership, is searching for mechanics of all skill levels to grow with us. Landmark offers a competitive wage, full benefits package, along with paid time off within just 60 days of employment, as well as a 401k and a boot and clothing allowance. Interested in becoming a part of the Landmark difference? Apply now at landmarkimp.com/careers or contact Deanna 402-310-7561 or email careers@landmarkimp.com. That's landmarkimp.com. Landmark Implement is the equal opportunity employer.
John Henry's Plumbing, heating it up.
When it comes to your home or business, we know you have options, and that's why John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning gives you just that. Options. We have plumbing, heating, and cooling memberships to serve all of your residential and commercial needs. We want to ensure you, your family, and your business are safe. Visit our website, jhlincoln.com, to find out more or call us at
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, heating it up.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. It doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
Wow. Did you ever save me money on my car?
Yes, that's why our customers keep coming back.
How do you do it, friendly car dealer ?
We simply have low overhead and high trade-in values. The next line's yours.
Oh.
Ready for something better? Mullen Motors is a no-hassle, no-pressure dealership with financing available. Check out the inventory at MikeMullenMotors.com.
No taglines, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by Security First Bank. A relationship you can count on.
Patchy fog this morning should give way to mostly sunny skies this afternoon. We'll top out near 88 with winds out of the south-southeast at around 10. Should stay mainly clear tonight with a low of 63. And we'll bump those temps up just a bit for your Tuesday with an afternoon high of 91. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
The days of internet contracts and heavy fine print are over. It's time to experience hassle-free service with no contracts or hidden fees. That's the Allo promise. Allo Communications provides fiber internet, TV, and phone services with fair and no-nonsense pricing. All backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee, 24/7 local support 365 days a year, and a monthly bill you can count on. Don't settle for gimmicks. Settle for hassle-free with Allo. Visit us at allofiber.com/hassle-free.
I grew up hearing that women are bad with money, but like many of you, I spent years paying bills, managing checking accounts, and taking care of my family. So turns out women are pretty good with money after all. And now I'm taking control of my financial future by saving for retirement. It's never too late to start, and there's a great website to help you. Check out WeSaySaveIt.org and jumpstart your retirement savings on your budget and your timeline. That's WeSaySaveIt.org. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Back to the Ticket Water Cooler. Brought to you by Wingstop on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Of course, everybody is looking forward to this week because it's game week for Nebraska in week 0 against Northwestern in Dublin. Another reason people were looking forward to this week is because there's an episode of Game of Thrones on last night. Well, it's not Game of Thrones. It's House of Dragons.
House of Dragons.
Did you watch it, Rick? Are
No,
you a big
'cause I
Game of
haven't-
Thrones guy?
I have not watched any Game of Thrones because I don't have HBO. And if DP's hearing me, he's upset because he's like, I'll send you $10, you get HBO Max, just get it.
Just binge it for a month.
I'm gonna get it next year though, because my favorite video game of all time has a TV series coming out on HBO Max, The Last of Us, and I'm gonna watch that.
Oh, there you go.
I'm gonna watch that. The video game is pretty much like a movie already, so it's gonna be exciting to see what they do with it.
Yeah, I watched it last night. I get excited. I didn't have HBO until last night, and I paid $10 for it because
I have to get it and then just binge Game of Thrones really
Yeah.
quick, even though I know how it ends.
Pretty much know the storyline. Yeah.
Shout out Twitter.
Yeah. You can't get away from it.
I
Though.
do love Twitter though.
I wonder if this is going to take over like Game of Thrones did, because everybody had their different house shirts and
somebody had a video of like this apartment complex where like people like had their window, like their shades drawn or whatever, and it's massive, a lot of windows. There's probably like 20 or so that all had the same light sequence going on.
Oh, yeah.
And they were like, they're all watching House of Dragons.
Of course they are. That's awesome.
It was pretty funny.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I think I'll be interested in that. Some other stuff that was going on, again, from the press conference for Nebraska, I thought it was kind of interesting. The black shirts will be handed out shortly after the team arrives in Ireland, so that might be happening at this moment.
Because they were on the plane.
That's right. Yeah.
Did they fly out yesterday or early today?
I was thinking it was today.
They ain't there yet,
but I didn't follow it too close.
Yeah, they ain't there yet. I don't know when they flew out.
I like the idea. I know it was by mistake, but I think that's kind of cool. That would be the first time the black shirts are handed out in Ireland.
They should do it somewhere like scenic.
Yeah, do something cool.
Something cool.
Yeah, I like it. Also, I thought it was interesting. Offensive coordinator Mark Whipple will call plays from the sideline. Kind of interesting. Be down on the field. I usually think of my offensive coordinator, getting the sky view, looking at that and calling plays up there. But
look, if he wants to be on the field, you let him on the field.
Oh, I know.
Some people take in more information being right there as opposed to being up in the sky. So we'll see what happens. Maybe the less I don't know, not the less he sees, but I don't know. He just likes it from being on the field.
Well, and then you'd think that Scott's going to be right next to him, I would think.
Yeah, well, I mean, Scott said he's not going to be. The advantage to having Whipple call plays is that Frost won't have to be or won't be looking at a play sheet the entire time. So he'll be able to watch the defense, watch the special teams, and kind of help, fix things or talk about things that are happening, there in the moment, as opposed to, after the game, because doesn't have his head in a play sheet. He's got somebody else taking care of that. So he can be more of, the head coach all around, watching all the plays, watching all the players. And, when somebody comes off, letting them know what he saw, gauging what they saw, and, just talking to all the different position groups and what have you. So it'll be really interesting to see, because he also talked about how they were going to split up the offensive coaches, who was going to be up in the box, because they wanted to have somebody up there that would be able to relay information from what they see up there down to the coaches on the field. So if you have your OC down on the field, whoever you have up there,
they didn't.
But
say
you
who
have
it
to.
was.
He didn't say. They're still considering how they're going to split it
I wonder
up.
if Mickey Joseph
But
will be up
well,
there.
that's my thing. Is do you put your wide receiver, your running backs coach, your offensive line coach up there, or do you want them down there to talk to the position groups as they come
Right.
off the field? That's another thing. But I mean, they have the little phone on the sideline where you can pick it up and talk to. Well, I think they have a phone on the sideline. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
That could just be NFL.
The red phone.
Yeah, that could just be NFL. But they have a way to talk to the people up in the booth. So
Taylor Martinez called
they'll
his
figure
dad
out a
one
way.
time on the sideline.
That's weird. So they'll figure it all out. I'm not in those meetings, obviously, so I don't know who or even how you would even think about splitting it up. But they'll figure that out when they're over in Ireland. Apparently, they've had a bunch of meetings discussing how they're going to do it. But Mark Whipple wants to be on the field. Mark Whipple's on the field. We'll see what happens after that.
Oh yeah, and I think too that's I keep saying all summer that I think that's an interesting dynamic that maybe we don't talk about enough. Is this is the first time they coach together? I mean, they got to kind of work out the wrinkles here themselves, trying to figure out how they coach on game day. And it'll take probably a few times before you really get comfortable with it. But I am interested to see. That's something I'll be watching is how close is Scott Frost to Mark Whipple? If Whipple's on the sideline, Frost's on the sideline, is he hovering over him?
Yeah.
Is there too much of that?
And I just remembered
Are they
something.
working together, kind of?
I just remembered somebody else's title. Mickey Joseph is also the passing game coordinator.
Right, yeah.
So would you want him? I would think you might want him up there so he can see the, his all 22 view.
That would make sense to me.
Of the corners and the safeties and how they're playing the pass. And then he'll, radio down to Whipple about what he sees. Whipple, they'll talk about what they see. And, Whipple will call plays based off of that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I expect to see that. It's beautiful. College football season is just around the corner. I've seen now North Carolina, Texas Tech, Louisiana Tech all name their starting quarterbacks today.
Love it.
It's just the feeling is in the air. And obviously Nebraska being able to kick that off is going to be pretty cool too. Before we get to the happy hour, which is coming up next, I did want to get a little bit of NBA in here. How about Udonis Haslem returning for a 20th year?
He's just a coach.
He basically is, but it makes it special because he will join Kobe Bryant and Dirk Nowitzki as the only NBA players to play 20 or more years with the same franchise, one single franchise.
Look at that.
That's crazy.
That's really impressive. You don't see that very often.
It's just not that impressive for Udonis Haslem because he just sits there.
No. I mean, they still look. He's indispensable. He's the last person to.
He's pretty
on that. No, he's the last person on that roster to have played in the last Miami Heat NBA Finals to win a championship with the Miami.
To
Heat.
win 2 years,
So-
they win.
Okay, you know what I mean. To win with the Miami
He's
Heat.
a 3-time champ.
So look, I mean, the knowledge he has to pass on to the youth of the Miami Heat, and even the knowledge he has to pass on to Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, like that's indispensable. You don't want to, because look, he's not taking up a coaching spot. So tell about your coaches. He's the last guy on the bench. How often does the last guy on the bench play, anyways?
Yeah.
So
Well, it's just weird that he's getting like $2.7 million.
Worth it.
That probably should be a veteran's minimum at this point.
That's look. He's also it's his player money and his coaching money.
Yeah. Well,
It's a
remember
mix.
last year, Jimmy almost got in a fight with him and Spoelstra
Yeah.
on the bench.
Well, that's why Haslam is there because
To
Spoelstra's
protect
not going.
Spoelstra.
Spoelstra's not going to fight Jimmy Butler,
Yeah.
but Haslam has no problem with
Haslam
fighting
would,
Jimmy
yeah.
Butler.
I can't wait. Hopefully that does happen. I'd like to see that. I never really liked Udonis Haslem, probably because he was on those teams that gave the Celtics fits. So
I have
I'd
zero
never
problems
give
with
up on
Udonis
him.
Haslem.
Yeah, that's fair.
I have zero feelings towards Udonis Haslem.
How about this? The Grizzlies have made new inquiries. There's new inquiries on the Kevin Durant front with the trade. They have 5 first-round picks that they can include in the trade that was reported today. Would you like to see KD team up?
Who do they trade away?
Right. I mean, you'd be giving
Triple
away
J?
a pretty nice group of guys that you have, like a young youth
One of your
movement that's coming
one
up.
of your stars is gone. It's
Dylan
not John
Brooks.
Morant.
Yeah, John Morant's the idea would be to pair John Morant with KD.
Is it Jaren
obviously.
Jackson Jr.?
Yeah.
That's the one that I'm thinking.
You would hold on to
If
him?
you're no, I'm thinking that's
If
who
you're
That's
Brooklyn.
who you would. Yeah, that's who I'm asking
that's who
for.
you want, yeah.
You give me Jaren Jackson Jr. and your 5 first-round picks. You got Kevin Durant.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of sad for them. I mean, they seem to be waiting until this magical offer comes in, and I don't know if they're going to. I mean, maybe Memphis will do it, but I just don't know if they're.
What's the same with the Utah
asking
Jazz?
price is the same as what they're going to get.
Yeah, it's the same with the Utah Jazz. Danny Ainge is famous for quote unquote not losing a trade. But
Trader Danny.
in this Donovan Mitchell trade fiasco, I don't know if he's going to play for you, but I would think that you want to have him not on the team and have this hovering over the team with a 38-year-old head coach and all of the youth that you have coming in. You wouldn't want this hovering over your team when training camp starts. So you want to trade him away before then. But really, the best offer you're getting is from the Knicks, and their latest offer was Evan Fournier, Obi Toppin, and 3 more, I think, unprotected or unconditional first-round picks. So it's up to like 5 or 6 now. And the Jazz said, no, we want a lot more.
Yeah.
I don't think you're getting anything better than that from anyone else.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so either. But
although I don't want to trade away Obi Toppin. But if it comes with getting Donovan Mitchell, if it comes with getting Donovan Mitchell, I'm okay with it.
So you can pair him with that Jalen Brunson, who's not a star, but
And
he
RJ
signed
Barrett.
like a star.
Let's go. Yes.
There you go.
Jalen Mitchell, RJ. Sign me up.
That's 500.
And then I guess Julius Randle.
Yeah.
Since you got rid of Obi Toppin. The Jazz don't want Julius, so there's no trading him away.
Yeah. I'd keep Fournier if I were you. I love Evan Fournier.
I do love Evan Fournier. But he got his spot taken by Quentin Grimes.
Oh. He's very hot and cold, too. But when he's hot, he's fun.
Not a great defender.
Not a great defender. That'll wrap it up for the Ticket Water Cooler. We will have a happy hour coming up next. Of course, we are counting down. We're going to have a nice week planned for you here on the Ticket Water Cooler. Plenty of stuff. Game week, it kind of gets in more into that sort of thing. So I think we'll do some alumni, some top players to watch.
We'll see what happens.
Top performances, all that stuff.
It'll be good.
The season is here. Or at least it will be in a few days. Happy hour is here. That's coming up next.